the knowingness of what is and living in that place, that journey to being all the time is not a linear one. And I think Aaron Abke says that it's like a spiral and it's always going up. So the spiral is always sort of moving forward, but you'll have periods where you're at the top of the spiral and then you'll have periods when you're at the bottom and so on and so forth. But it's useful to know that in any moment when you feel at the bottom of the spiral or you feel like you don't know what you used to know, or you feel caught up in the world and all the problems and the issues, is that you're still like on that part of the spiral rather than this. You haven't gone backwards. There's no going backwards. I think if we use that matrix analogy, once you've taken that red pill, like you've taken it, there's no going back. There's no going back to being unconscious and stuck in the world. There will always be a glimmer or a knowingness within you that you are not this and you are not what you're experiencing. Everything that you're doing on your journey, whether that be the A Course in Miracles or Way of Mastery, Byron Katie, all of these things, it's all important for where you are right now. And then eventually it will leave your life and then a new teacher will come in. I've always been very lucky that I have continued to progress, and I started with one teacher and then moved on to the next. I've never got into this place of having a guru or someone that I've looked up to, but there's always been a time in my life where that person's lessons have been really valuable and useful, and then I know when to let them go and move on to the next. And it's all part of the ever deepening and ever knowing, right? Everything has a place and everything's important. And if you find yourself losing yourself in the world again, like that's important because there's something to learn there. There's something to let go. There's things that are being brought up that are showing you what you're still holding on to as an attachment to being a separate self and a human being. For any of you out there that are in a moment or place of suffering and you feel like you got so far and you've fallen back into the world and what the world is offering you and XYZ, is that's the perfect place to be. And I know it doesn't feel that way, but again, if you were meant to be anywhere else, you would be. And this is the only moment you have right now, is the present. So if your suffering is coming because you're thinking about a bill you have to pay in like 2 weeks' time and you don't have the money, etc., recognize, if you can, that all of that in the future, which is in the mind, is not real. It's not true in the sense of, I know you will have to pay that bill. I'm not saying that the bill's just going to magically like disappear and go away. In this planetary system we're in, the bill will still come and it will still be paid. But it's more that your fears, worries, the mind's working of it is projecting something that isn't there. And the reason that it's not there is because you're here and you're present in this moment. This is only whatever can be real. And your mind moving you out there is keeping you from being here. And actually, so therefore the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs that are all projecting about the bill that you have to pay 2 weeks in the future, none of that is real. That is all false, because that isn't what is here. What is here is that you may be sitting on a bed, you've got 10 fingers, 10 toes, you've got a phone in front of you which you're recording on. It's about coming back to those ordinary moments of now and being with this thought pattern of the future, but bringing your attention to things that are in your immediate vicinity whilst allowing the future to be there and seeing that none of that is real, because this here right now is what's real, not the fears, thoughts and beliefs about the bill. And that's me not saying that the bill isn't real, but you'll find that if you can be in that present place and keep bringing yourself back to what is real here, touch your fingertips, touch the bed you're on or whatever it is, hold your own hands, you'll be in a much more calmer and present state to have solutions arise to how to pay that bill, or be more in an open state of acceptance and peace, that you will attract whatever it is to help you pay that bill. And you'll be at peace of mind as well, because you'll know that you're here. And then moving that on a step, if this is a recurring problem in your life of lack of money and fear around paying bills and not having enough money to pay bills, again, this is all a belief. It's a belief that you can't earn enough money to pay bills. It's a belief that you always don't have enough to pay bills. And that is the next step of your inquiry practice and process, is to go back to where it was in your childhood. And I'm not saying that you might not feel that you're able to do this yourself. It's quite useful sometimes to hire a spiritual coach or other spiritual practitioners who can help you go back to this memory. And then from that point, I always found in the early days to just write it out was quite good, because once you got it out of the ego mind and put it onto paper, you were able to sort of see the nothingness of it if you can write it down. And in the beginning, it might be that you do need to really work through things. And this is where I would recommend the Byron Katie method of the work, or like a radical forgiveness letter, or even the Ho'oponopono prayer, something which can shift you as you look at it so that you don't feel like the victim of it. That's the important thing, because what happened was, when you were a child, is something occurred about money. Let's say it's that you watched your mum really struggle to pay bills. And then from that, you had to sell some of your toys, let's say. And so you got from that whole experience, it's difficult to make money. I must suffer to make money. Paying bills is hard. However, if we take out this identity of separation and, it was such a sad thing that happened to me that I had to sell my toys and yada, yada, we take that out of the equation and we just look at it. We see that what happened in that moment was money needed to be made, toys had to be sold, and then that was fine. The bills got paid. It's all the meaning we put onto what it meant that we had to sell our toys, or bad things happened to us. That's all a belief. That's all a meaning. And you take that and you continue with it further. And to be able to go back to these memories and see that there was no real self there ever doing, like, having these experiences and having these beliefs and stuff. It was all just a nothing. And what happened was the nothing occurred and the mind went, oh no, that's happening to us. And it created this whole sense of self, which never was there to begin with. It's quite miraculous when you know that. And so those would be like my two big takeaways from the past 3 months of this life I've been living. The journey is not linear. It goes up and down. I even have periods of getting lost in the world. Things will happen. I get pulled back into the world, especially when you find yourself, for me, I work in events, so I find myself in jobs where I'm surrounded by people who don't see the world the way I see. And then slowly but surely, as I spend more time with them, their problems creep into my life. And it just all feels so much, and I get really involved in it. But that's all not wasted. That's all still so valid and so useful, because it made me see things like I have this perception that this flow identity is a people pleaser and this flow identity needs people to like her. Like, why? There is no reason why. These were all just beliefs that I had about myself. Another one that's come up recently is flow can't make decisions. I don't know where that one's come from, but having this awareness on things and questioning it and sitting with it and allowing yourself to be taken back to whatever memory first created it is all so valuable, and all of it is just exactly what you need. And if it means that you have to go through a period of discomfort and suffering, then so be it. It's not enough to just be resting back. For me anyway, and perhaps for many of you here. More has to be done. And then eventually you let go of that too, but that's another video.